I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Public comment.
You can just open up to the
Oh, public hearing. Okay, so we'll open up the public hearing.
6:31. At 6:31.
6:31. I was just looking at my clock. Okay. 6:31.
Sorry she's new doing this.
This is Sierra's job.
Sierra did ask to call.
Oh, okay.
You want me to?
Yeah, you can throw her on.
Yep. It'd be nice if she's not talking to AAA.
I know. Hi, Sierra. I'm going to put you on speaker, okay? I'm going to put you up on the table.
That didn't sound very good.
All right.
You're on the table, Sierra.
The public hearing was just open.
Okay.
Do you have any of the paperwork?
Let me see if I can pull up my email. Hold on.
Would you like us to start by reading the warrant article?
Yeah, I have it. I can. Yeah, if you want to go ahead and do that, I have it in front of me too, so I can
Okay.
go.
So I'm just going to read you the relevant portion that'll go to the voters. So Article 1, to see if the Middleton School District will vote to approve the cost items included in the collective bargaining agreement reached between the Middleton School Board and the Middleton Education Association, which calls for the following increases in salaries and benefits at the current staffing level. Fiscal year 2026, estimated increase $66,705. 2027, estimated increase $50,576. Fiscal year 2028, estimated increase $60,104. And to further raise and appropriate the sum of $66,705 for the 25-26 fiscal year. Such sum representing the additional costs attributable to the increase in salaries and benefits required by the new agreement over those that would be paid at the current staffing levels. Estimated tax impact on $66,705 is an increase of 18 cents per thousand. So what was also presented to you were the original from the prior collective bargaining agreement, the Middleton School Board counter proposal for the steps, and that one is the title or the date says 12/19/24 at the top, so that's how you know it's the old one. That was the one, the previously agreed upon one.
This was the previous agreement. She just made it bigger. It's that one.
This is, so is this?
Let's go by the date here. No, that's the failed one. Yep, this is the
Okay,
failed one.
so the 4-1 is the new one. Which that's the failed one right there, right?
So we'll just start step 1. Track 1 would be 48,078. So that's the old, that's the December agreed upon one. And if you look at the one that's for the current, that has a step 0 that was added, which would be, so the steps, just to explain to everyone, the steps go with years of experience. And then the tracks go with the degrees held and the credits held. So track 1 is bachelor's, track 2 is a bachelor's plus 15 credits, track 3 is a bachelor's plus 30 credits, and track 4 is a master's. So depending on where the teacher's experience and education fall, this will determine where they are in the track.
That's not correct.
That's not correct.
It's track three is a master's, and track 4 is a master's plus 30.
Plus 30? Okay.
Is that written anywhere, like those steps?
It was written on the old one, which is what we went by, so I apologize.
So like track 1 was the masters and all that, is that written like anywhere?
I think that's on that.
It's on the old, not the new. So track 1 is just a straight bachelor's?
Yeah.
Track 2 is bachelor's plus how many credits? So we're clear? Okay, thank you for clarifying that.
And then 3.
Okay.
And then 4 is master plus?
30. Full credits. Or CACs.
Or what?
A certificate of advanced studies.
Okay.
So the differences between the previous one and the current one, you can see they did lower the figures in each of them, and they did add a step 0 as well. So that brought the total down from the original contracted amount from $76,154 down to the $66,705 that we have here. And then it also goes through the next 2 years.
All right. Is there anybody that is potentially going to bump up on a track? Like, is there anybody that's potentially going for their master's degree, or anybody that's going to potentially have like go from a 2? Because I see there's like 1s and then there's some 2s. So is there anybody that's potentially going to?
We haven't been notified of that.
Okay.
Not that we would essentially, once they reach that, they have to fill out a form that states what they took for credits, and then that's analyzed at the SAU office with the transcript.
So that could potentially change these figures if somebody does come in with a degree, a more degree or more, what it goes up in a track.
Well, I mean, these figures can probably go up and down a lot, depending on the teachers coming up.
Right, that's why it's written at current staffing. So our current staffing levels, that's the increase needed.
So what happens if you get this set and you have 4 teachers leave and 4 come in with much higher degrees?
We have to cross that bridge as we come to it.
Something to think on.
The benefit of this is it's locked in tracks. So now everyone coming into the school knows where they're going. They can't negotiate what their salary is.
Yeah.
It's set, and it's set for the next 3 years. So there is some consistency in that for budgeting purposes looking into the future. It gives everyone who's looking at this school also a really good parameter about where we are. And I just did also double check the original figures, which are lower now, are still lower than what the Governor Wentworth track system is. So we're not even in line with Governor Wentworth track system.
Where we are within the state, now I got the email, was it you that email? Thank you for that email, because I like the full picture of everything. Your email earlier said we were, was it 126?
26 out of 162 schools.
So that brings us, are we below?
The average salary today, I think, is what puts us there.
So we're below median now? Because at one point we were above median.
62.
Okay, because at one point we were above median in the states, but I think just because of COVID and the cost of everything, everybody just threw money at everything.
Well, we were originally paid, we were on the same scale as Governor Wentworth when for the first 7 years of the school's history, I think, or 6.
How do we compare to other towns our size?
I mean, I did some looking at average, which is not, I know that's not scientific, but when you look at the numbers based on average teacher's salary, which is not to say the steps and all and everything with it, but I mean, we're higher than Farmington, higher than Middleton, slightly below Rochester, higher than Barnstead. You know, I mean, that's pretty much all you can get because of New Durham being pushed in with the gigantic figures of Governor Wentworth that are just not able to be competed against in a town like this, quite honestly. Just like Dover can't be competed against. It's an entirely different world, but knowing that Rochester's in the same realm as far as average, I know I haven't looked at the steps and everything, but it seems very likely that we're quite close to that.
Thank you.
And Farmington is ranked 161st out of 162 districts, and Milton is ranked 155th
For pay.
for pay.
How much was it?
So this is how much, like, so next year we're not gonna have it increasing, like we want a 3% COLA, or, okay, so this is what it will be. And then for insurance, I know I asked you this, but it's not a part of the contract. For your insurance percentage that you guys pay in, what is that percentage at now?
10.5.
It's 10.5%. On average, what's the rest of the state paying?
I don't have that information.
Okay.
I mean, I can tell you what that amount means. So a single plan, that would make their out-of-pocket per year $1,613 and change. And then for a two-person plan, you're looking at $3,226 that they're paying out of pocket.
That's it?
But that's what the increase is. But when you look at the increase, that's barely covering what they're getting, what they're having to pay for the insurance, is what I'm saying. So the salary increases are relatively comparable to what the increases are for what they're paying out of pocket for insurance. And then the family plan is $4,300
For a year?
per year.
Okay.
Yep.
Like Kathy said, that doesn't include the deductibles. And
Oh, no, I get it. I mean, I'm paying about $600 a month for health insurance.
Well, I mean, when I had to carry my own, it was $1,200 a month that I paid for a family plan for us.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I know, and when you're paying for it privately, but that is,
So it's, Tracy?
Is that the goal? Is that the goal, to cover insurance so that it's zero?
I don't think that that's the goal. I will let the teachers speak to what this means for them. I think that's why they're here. They want to tell you what this salary increase really for them means in dollars and cents and for their lives. So I don't know if you guys want to, if anybody wants to speak.
As in New Hampshire, if the CBA is not approved, it does mean that the scale is totally frozen. So no one would get the step increase for another year of service, and no one would get raises. And for some people, that makes a big difference. Some of those steps are larger than others. But I do know that would be very difficult for teachers, not just financially, but as far as morale with teachers. It's important that we know that the town supports our living wage. Also, having the CBA in general promotes other working condition items that benefit the teachers and make this a good place to work. And the CBA also helps put us on the map so that people can find out what our salary scale is. It helps us retain the teachers that we have, but it also helps us to attract good teachers.
Sarah, do you have any questions?
I'm sorry.
Do you have any questions or anything? I just want to make sure you're still there.
No, I'm still here. Not yet. I have you on mute so you guys don't have to listen to the traffic
Oh, okay.
going
Thanks.
by. But I don't have any questions yet.
Okay. I guess I would just ask the school board to, when it comes time for looking at insurances and options and stuff, is to help with that, of finding, always looking for more cost-effective plans. I just want to look at the big picture. I mean, this is not like I don't want it to feel like us against them. I want to keep our school and I want to keep our teachers. I appreciate every single one of you. I've fortunately, knock on wood, have had great experiences, but at the same token, it's the affordability of keeping the townspeople here and keeping the people that are on the fixed budgets here. I will scream that from the top of my lungs every moment I get a chance to, is that if it wasn't for the empty nesters and the older population of this town, our town would sink quickly. And then also thinking about what the state is trying to do to us zoning-wise. If those horrible zoning laws pass, our town and our school is like up a creek without a paddle. Because very quickly our town will be overbuilt and our school will be overrun, and we will not be able to afford any of it, I'm afraid. So I would ask that you guys and the rest of you do your due diligence of looking for other ways of helping with the budget, because I'm afraid it's going to come to the point where the townspeople are going to say, we don't want this school, shut it down, because we can't afford it. And I don't want to see that to happen, because we're still going to be stuck with having to pay a bond and pay for a building that we can't use. So, I mean, I want to pay our teachers what they are worth and what they deserve, but we have to find a balance. And you guys have to be doing better at finding that balance of benefits. I mean, I can tell you Tracy and the rest of the selectmen, and when I was that's what we had to do. We had to shop for health insurance to make sure we were getting the best plans and everything else. And I don't want to see somebody come up with a warrant article that says, we're going to cap the school budget at 2%, because in the end, it will hurt the kids, because you're not going to take from salaries and you're not going to take from contracts. So it's going to be the kids that end up getting cut for their budget, which it screws the teachers, because they have less to work with for supplies, and they already have little to work with. So I think we all need to get it together and work together and figure something out, because it's becoming quite costly, and especially if we have to start hiring more full-time people.
This, I saw something that this would be a 21-cent increase, is that right?
That was the original warrant article. The new one is 18 cents. Yes.
And what's the overall for the rest of the budget that was voted through?
Do you have the warrant article? No. Let me see what I've got here. I don't know it off the top of my head, Bonnie.
Do you mean for like that wage line?
No, for the whole budget, the whole school, the rest of the warrant articles on the whole budget, aside from this.
Because the wage line went up during
Yes, it did.
deliberative, because of,
Yeah, that's why I don't have it.
An increase of $1.03 per thousand.
Thanks, Heather.
That was Article 2.
That was Article 2, but does that count all the other warrant articles and everything?
That's the budget. Article 2 was our budget.
the total
All
budget.
the other articles, no.
The other articles used unreserved fund balance, so that there's no increase to the tax rate.
And the one for the teacher, Article 5, that was failed. So,
Thank you.
Can you clarify about the wage line, because the wage is separate? The raise that we would get is separate. It's not negotiated.
so that wage line includes all the other staff as well. So that's, yeah.
So that wage line, from my understanding, it was like, how much more was that? It was like a very large increase. Let me see, because there was a question on it.
Yeah, this says
The-
estimated tax rate of 1070. So I don't know where you're getting the $1.03.
The salary and benefit lines, it was a $450 increase. Because that was one of the questions that Roxanne had, is that this included into it?
This is not included in that, no.
I don't see where you're getting the $1.03 from.
Estimated tax impact on 5,625,798 is an increase of $1.03 per thousand, resulting in an estimated tax rate of $10.61.
$10.61. That's the number I was looking for.
Okay, I apologize.
Thank you.
You asked, I were looking for, I thought you said the increase, so that's what I was getting.
10.
Sorry. You're right.
So it was $10.61
Yeah.
before this one?
Not included
That
in the
doesn't,
collective bargaining.
that wouldn't include the 18 cents like for this if this goes through?
Correct.
Okay.
So that would go on top, yes.
I need the big font. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. I meant to ask you, and then she started talking, and I forgot about you.
That's okay. I just heard that no teachers will be getting raises if we do not pass this warrant article. And I know from sitting on the budget committee for a decade that the principal line was never in the wage line. was always teachers and support staff. So you're telling me now it went up 17.41%, and that has been with one teacher?
I can answer that question. The FY25 budget that we're in right now is default budget. So that is the number that was previously adopted in FY24 plus or minus any increases, which the wage line stays the same unless you have anything contractual. We didn't have anything contractual. So it was just the fact that we're 2 years behind in wages as in operating budget-wise for dollar amounts. So the staff that you have here right now, not including the teachers, I budgeted an increase of 3%. So that would be the principal, the support staff, and the bus drivers. Now granted, the bus drivers got an adjustment 2 years ago to $20 per hour, and then this past February, the board made the approval to increase the support staff to $20 an hour. That's not budgeted into this, but that's what has happened.
I have another.
Go ahead.
Because I came to the January or February meeting, I can't remember. It was December or January, it was before voting, and the chair told us at the time if it didn't get voted through that they would find a way. So, Kathy, can you tell me?
With the teachers, that's not the case. When you have a warrant article for a CBA, no means no, no means no for
I
teachers.
understand that, but can you tell me for this coming year, you're telling me that not one teacher got a raise because we're on a default budget?
No, they did get a raise because there was no union.
Right, because we didn't have.
They didn't unionize.
I understand that, but there's always, we'll find the money, it comes out of other lines, it's the bottom line budget.
But it won't.
But now.
But it can't because they're union.
Yes, I just wanted to clarify that, just because we were in a default, and yes, there was no extra money, there was money to give raises.
Can I just want to speak as a parent, as an individual, a resident, not in my role as school board. The school in September will have its third principal in 3 years. Keeping your staff is vital to the success of the school because your teachers, like any business, if you are managing and running an organization or a company, your teachers they know your product that you're selling, which in this case is the students and their education. They know the community that they're working with, they know their clientele, which is the teachers and the town. And they also are the front line of the service that's being provided to our kids. So we need to retain them, and I do fear that not doing this shows a sign that the town does not support the teachers, and you're going to lose the only consistency that the school really has at this point. Because now you're on your third year with a third principal, and it's so vital that we keep the staff that we have because they really do know and take great care of our kids, and that has a tremendous value to our community. People want to come here because of the teachers that care so much about our kids. They could go get paid elsewhere and go higher in surrounding towns, but they choose to stay here, and I think that should be valued and that should be rewarded. There's an intrinsic value in that retention that we should be honoring, and I think this collective bargaining agreement, while it doesn't get where they should be, I think it gets us close, and I do appreciate their efforts in coming back to the table. Thank you.
I just want to point out, although I do appreciate what you're saying and I half agree with you, your statement is a little bit misleading because it makes it sound like we had this huge turnover with principals. Kat was here for the entire, since the school was opened. It was just this one little blip where we had a principal for 1 year and for whatever reason, it didn't work out and now we're getting a new principal. And I'm hopeful that this will work out and she'll be here hopefully long term. I do agree with paying staff, whether it's town, school, whatever, what they are worth, what they bring to the table, and to be fair and competitive. But then I will also say this, you guys as a school board need to do better. You guys as a school board need to do better with making sure we're getting grants. You guys need to make sure that we're spending our money wisely. You need to make sure that every penny is being put forward and that people are getting resources. Because I will say this, I've been at places where I've been paid top dollar and I've walked out because of the lack of resources, the lack of support and everything else. And I've stayed at jobs where I've been paid crap because I was treated fairly and well. I think that there is more to fixing a problem than throwing money at it. And I think there is a lot of money in this budget and you guys are not utilizing it wisely. You're not utilizing it correctly. You proved it last year when you lost a significant amount of money in ESSER funds, and I would hate to even dig through to see how many grants we could have gotten over the years that we have missed out on, that our children have missed out on, these teachers have missed out on. Because I know for a fact that these teachers take money out of their own pocket and pay for things, or they're asking us as parents, which I have absolutely no problem, let me know and I will give it. But when there is money in the budget and you guys are not making sure it's being utilized correctly, and we're seeing tons of money going back into the general fund every single year, that is irresponsibility on the school board, on the SAU and the superintendent, and you're showing us that you're not being responsible for the money. So when we start seeing big sums of money being asked, that's why we get upset. Because we're not being clarified, we're not given facts. All people are seeing is how much money is going to come out of their pockets. And when you have people that are on fixed incomes that can barely pay for medications and food and are struggling to stay in their houses, they're going to be resistant to this. So you guys as a school board need to do your job because you guys are paid and you need to be responsible with the townspeople's money. I'm all for the salaries. I gotta get sad when I look at some of them because I see what they do and I see what they produce, but you guys also have a very large budget and you're not using it responsibly. And it's on the school board because you guys vote on what happens. So I think you guys need to do better with the budget. And you know what, if I hurt feelings, that's fine, but at the end of the day, it's personal because it's all of the taxpayers having to go and work harder and work more and be away from their families longer. And that puts a strain on our kids, which then puts a strain on them in school, which puts a strain on the teachers, which then the teachers are like, well, we're not getting paid enough for this crap. So I don't have an issue with their salaries. I think you guys need to research and find more affordable insurance options. And I think you guys need to do a better job with the budget and spending, and you guys need to start digging deep and looking for grants while they're still around, because the economy is going to start hurting pretty soon. We're already starting to see a bit of a recession. Companies are already starting to lay off, and God help this town if we hit a big recession. So that's my 25 cents worth of opinion on it. I don't know if anybody else wants to say anything.
I gotta say, Christine brought up a lot of good points. We saw a lot of money thrown away with the ESSER grant. I was very sad to see that. And there's so many people in this town that are struggling to keep their homes. And you guys are great, no offense to any of you. Unfortunately, I haven't had kids in this school. Mine are all grown. But I realize we've got to keep the staff we have, but we also have to keep our homes too. And the town has to stick, I'm a selectman, the town, and we have to stick to a 2% cap. We have to fight in our budgets. Where can we cut? Where can we cut? And the school is like, give us more, give us more, give us more. How much did you go up for your budget this year? There was quite a bit of increase. And now we're seeing this increase as well. You've got to cut somewhere.
I think we did cut from the original budget. We didn't put back in a lot of the other items like supplies, like testing, like other things that really were supposed to keep in there, but we didn't put that back in order to just meet salary. That's what we did. We increased and we put back the modified, warrant article that adjusted the amount just so that we could cover salaries, because even that was debated at the deliberative session.
So we're at May 5th. So Kathy, June 30, is it 31 days? 30? So June 30th, I need to go back to school.
Yep.
June 30th is the end of our budget for the year. Where are we at with our budget?
Right now, we know, I've done some estimating, and before any more utilities that are not encumbered, some aren't, some are. Payroll is all encumbered. We have one more tuition bill, which will be about $506,000. We're looking at under, without any other expenditures. So there's a month and a half, almost 2 months left of the fiscal year. Right now, we're looking at about 200,000, but that doesn't take into consideration the next month and a half, 2 months. So I foresee it coming down pretty close and not going over.
What do you think is pretty close?
One where I'm watching every penny 24/7, which is not right. That's too close.
How much do you think that we'll come in at?
You're asking a crystal ball. I don't know a lot of the special ed invoices that are out there. I have a pulse on a lot of stuff, but not everything. So.
Okay.
And I know Kathy does put everything out when we're doing health insurances, who we use for our contractors. I mean, I know that she puts those out and she gets quotes from as many people who give her quotes before we settle on those.
We lock in on as many things as we can. We take care of, we do E-rate, which is, we get rebates through the, I don't know it per se, but it's technology, it's our internet, any large projects, which we don't have. But we get reimbursement for our internet. We do lock in with consortiums for the electricity, the kilowatt hour, not the carrier, but the transfer fee, but it's the actual kilowatt hour. So we've locked into, we did 1 year, now we've locked into a 3 year, so that's a fixed rate depending on how many kilowatts we use, but at least it's keeping it lower than what New Hampshire Electric Co-op is. So there are obviously a million different things with service contracts to keeping the building maintenance, going and having the annual or biannual service contracts on some of the larger items. We look at that and try and find not necessarily a cheaper price, but a better price, because you get what you pay for.
I asked the school board representative, when do the testing assessments, the English and math ones, when will they be out? Will they be before the town votes? Just out of curiosity.
So, I mean, the teachers might be able to answer this better, but they're going through state assessments. They've had a portion of it done, and then a portion of it is this month.
But when will the results be out?
I don't know. Do you know when the results come out for those? I'm not able to answer that question.
Anyone that lives at the very bottom of the state, and I'd like, if we're going to be paying a good amount to increase people's salaries, there needs to be a real plan to how to get Middleton out of the basement. I mean.
So can I ask this question? So when you guys do the state assessment and they do the whole analysis, that includes every kid that's here. So the kids that are on IEPs and things like that. So like 25% of our kids are on IEP, my child included. So I would feel, I almost want to say with 25% of the kids here, to give a little bit of like wiggle room on that, because those kids, my kid included, depending on his mood, is gonna throw that number off a bit.
Yeah, but Farmington's outperforming us, and I bet you they have an equal percentage of IEP kids in Farmington. Farmington is outperforming Middleton. The district we were hell-bent on getting out of so that we could have an excellent education. Just some points to consider.
I understand that, and I looked at it differently before my child was in the school, and I can say personally, because I had very strong feelings about before he started and the process to get him in. where he's at now versus where he was when he walked through the door, I'm very happy with. I mean, and as a kid myself who struggled with those standardized tests and did horrible on them, and it was like not a good reflection of where I was as a person in my knowledge. I am a bit critical with that, and it's kind of falls in line with the whole like no child left behind. I think No Child Left Behind like left way too many kids behind. I think it did not do what it was supposed to do or it had intended. So I'm kind of leery of like basing a lot of my decision-making upon that.
But it is a factor, and it is what the state uses.
Yeah.
I've worked in the developmental services system for a number of years. Most of my career was in that, so I definitely appreciate totally that it's hard to measure. But it is a measuring stick, and if you go online and you take a look, for some reason, I mean, my grandson is in the Dover district that has the highest percentage of kids on IEPs of other districts. And I realize Dover pays more, but we're talking a very significant percentage of his class are on IEPs. You know, I mean, and they, of course, test being Dover, but I mean, still, it's pretty hard to take people that are in large groups of Section 8 housing and say they're much in a different situation than in Middleton in some of the children's cases, because a lot of cases, I know it's not about always income, but in Dover, in some cases, that's the way it ends up. But it is a factor, and when people search where they want their kids to go to school, it is a factor, you know?
Yeah. Oh, it definitely is. I mean, when I purchased my house 12 years ago, I looked into different areas, and I refused all those towns that you listed off. And I was like, you know what, we're either going to go here or we're going to come up here. And we chose up here, even though it was still in Farmington. And I was very hesitant to sign paperwork because I was like, I don't want my child going to Farmington. But fortunately, we did not have a child yet, so we had a little time to plan it out. And then when the school a year later was voted to be built, and I was very excited about it, because then it took that worry away from us of when we had a child. And then I was disappointed when I heard that we were a D-rated school, but it's also one of those things when once you come in here and your child is in the school and you're doing it, I have a different feelings about it now. And I'm not a big fan of the standardized testing. I don't think I think they need to find a better way of figuring out how kids are doing. I think standardized testing is not the way to go. Tim? I don't mean to take over. That's all.
You and I are absolutely agree on.
I'm sorry, what?
This one year, you and I are absolutely agree on. So I can tell you right now that my son has an IEP, has a hard time standardized tests. So I can tell you that the teachers here have worked miracles in helping him to be, read better, write better, focus on his schoolwork better. So the dedication they have shown has been amazing. I think that sometimes standardized test is an inaccurate standard, inaccurate bar test.
I can tend to agree with that. I came from a very large city that had very good reading. And my daughter has an IEP, and she came here reading at a very low percentage. But from the end of third grade to the time of sixth grade, they had her caught up. Where the city that I was in, from kindergarten to the end of third grade, couldn't even get her moving at all. When I came here, they redid her IEP because they couldn't even make sense of like a big city, the good school, level B down there, had to here, they were like, we have no clue what they're saying. So they took all the tests, and they redid it all over again. Sorry, I hate public speaking. And they redid it. And now she's in 9th grade at the Kingswood, and she is going to college prep classes. So for me, I have a different, I always look at it like, oh, the kid's gonna learn one way or another. They're gonna learn or they're not. My stepmother on the hand goes to, she wants A+ for school ratings. my niece currently wants to be a church dog walker. And it's like, okay, but your kid's gonna learn in the atmosphere they're gonna learn at. Sometimes I don't think it's about what grade they're at, or not grade, what the school is rated at. It's whether that kid wants to learn or doesn't want to learn. And sometimes, yes, it is the teacher. You know, and sometimes not too much. If they feel comfortable, they don't feel comfortable. I was never a good test taker. Never. Even to this day, I hate taking tests at work. I'm doing it. But you learn, and I just say, you know, I appreciate what the teachers do. And sometimes what the school's graded at and what they take at are two different levels.
Well, and I also think it also a huge factor is his home. You know, and I'm sure the teachers are like, read to your kids, you know, do this, do that, all of those things. Well, guys, guess what? When you're having to pick up a lot of overtime so you can keep your house, it's hard to spend more time with your kids. So this is why I keep driving home of you guys need to do better with the budget. And you guys need to do better with the grants and everything else. Because I will, if I have to choose where to spend the money of like, yeah, I want good, competent staff that's willing to train and stuff, but you guys got to pick up the pieces on the other end and do your job too. So it's give and take. I mean, I was absolutely disgusted to hear that the paras were making less than what the Starbucks people were making. And for years, all I ever heard out of the school board was we have to pay our staff really good because if we don't, we're gonna lose them. And you guys went ahead and made a 4% cost of living increase or 3%. And you didn't even realize that you guys were so underly paying your paras until they came to you guys crying. So, I mean, you guys the school board needs to pay attention. It's more than just showing up once a month to a meeting and looking at the superintendent on what she asks and suggests and voting that way. And I can confidently say that because I've sat at meetings and I've watched it time after time after time. You have to put in work, and it takes work and effort. I mean, I know I'm on several different chairs and boards. I'm the chair of the planning board, and I feel like I've picked up a full-time job. But it's something that I committed to, just like you guys committed to being on the school board. And you guys got to do better so we can keep our teachers, so we can have a good school. So I have nothing else to say other than that, and I'll just keep saying it until I need to have another drink of water. So if anybody else wants to add anything, it's Tracy.
I'll just speak up what I heard, because I think your comment was a little direct at me, and I am more concerned with transparency. That is what I want. We had a previous principal who the entire town came and voted down raises that year, and they were given anyway. That is not transparent to me. It came out of other group. So far, the most transparent school board member I've ever seen, and I like the direction we're going in. I want to see more collaboration with the budget committee, consistent documents being given, shared with the board of selectmen so we can put it on the website, things like that. For the raises, I would like to see what is like the, when we do the version, excuse me, talk about this, and 50 years, what's the 50%? That 50% grant is that. So where is that CBA? Oh, we are part of the CBA. Where's that from?
They paid half the salary.
Yeah, they were at half the salary. Okay. I work at school too. I love this school. My children went, well, my daughter went here. I support teachers. I just want transparency. And I think that is why you have so much pushback from taxpayers, because there has not been transparency.
Absolutely.
It is extremely hard to get answers from the school board. You ask questions, you don't get anything, and that just creates a hostile environment. It really does.
Yeah.
I will say we've got, what, 3, 4 new members? Where there's only 2 that have been more than a couple of years. Everybody on the board is pretty new. So we hear you, we're here, we're giving you documents in advance, we're doing everything we can. I have not gone through a budget cycle yet to see where we're going on that. I know I've sat with Kathy numerous hours to get to understand the budget, so I know what she does. I know the effort she puts in to keep our costs down. And, she's an invaluable resource when it comes to that. So, if you ever are asking for things that aren't getting, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I
We
will do
appreciate
whatever I
that.
can to get you the information that you need. In fact, I even reached out last week. I'm like, okay, I need things out by tomorrow. Please, we need to get them what they have so they have the weekend to at least look at what they have before the meeting. Because I understand that, because that's when I do my time. I look at it over the weekends when I get things and read them. So, again, we're working on that. We hear you. All I can say is let's just keep going and try and move in a positive direction. And please don't hold decisions of board past against the current board, because we are relatively new.
I really appreciate that. I must say, I appreciate you reaching out to us today, but I think questions need to be asked through the liaison, because we're a board, we're a committee, and we need to have it done the correct legal way, and I think it's better to have our questions go through them versus through you, but I do appreciate you reaching out, and, thank you.
I don't even mind if she does it and then you just CC do one group email and then CC.
Right, but it wasn't done that way either. It was, mine felt like, mine looked like an individual letter, so maybe it wasn't.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I appreciated it, because I never get things answered to me ahead.
Any more questions?
She should be here. She was driving, so she should be here momentarily. There she is. Oh, see? See how good I am? I timed it right.
Same her nation, your peers.
Thank you. Here, I'll move my stuff.
Kevin, do you want?
Yeah, thanks. Okay. Sorry. All right, where are we at? Are you up on your next?
Oh, that's okay. Okay. So this is their track is according to like degree and years and all that.
Yep, I saw all that.
Okay. So that's what each year will look like,
Yeah,
which,
I think it's fine.
yeah. I mean, I have no problem with the salary
No.
at all. It's all the other parts,
Yeah.
which I'm sure you have my rant.
Hey, that's fine. That's fine. I guess I would say, I know that for me personally, the 2% tax cap for the town has zero bearing to me whatsoever, for the fact that town can override it at town meeting, just like they did this year anyways. And if we're really gonna try to use that for the school budgeting, it's as simple as somebody writing a warrant article for the town to abolish it, like select board members in the last year have said that they were going to and never did, so it's a moot point, really. But yeah, I think we need to pay our teachers the way they should be paid if we want to keep them. Oh, we got like 10 minutes left for the hour.
Does it have to be open an hour? I thought it didn't. Or do we
Legally,
just
there is no time limit, but because precedence has been an hour in the past.
keep it status quo?
Yep.
Are we going to vote on this tonight?
So I think we got to vote
Yeah,
on
we
it.
have to vote on
So
it
then
today.
that way they have their deliberative, and then deliberative happens, and then
And when is there a deliberative?
It's May 27th at 6 PM here at the school. It's a Tuesday.
poor Ben, another meeting.
All right, what time? 6 PM. Okay.
I don't know, what's worse, trying to get Ben out of the house at night or in the morning? Like,
Anybody else have anything?
Tracy.
John?
I will just to go back to the whole assessment thing. I do agree that the testing is not a real accurate thing, but the fact that it's still there, and that's something that you legislators can deal with the regulators of the state at some point in time. You know, however it is, that's something that people look at. As far as like the salaries in the town, it's another one of those things we unfortunately find ourselves, and I mean this honestly from my standpoint, unfortunately find ourselves in a position of being the employer rather than the person signing a contract for our elementary students somewhere else, which means that we then do have to entertain how much we're paying various people in town. Some people are going to be held to 3 or 4% increases, no matter, they can stand on their head and do their job, and there's no way we're ever going to be paying them what we'll be paying a teacher. And both jobs are valuable and both are necessary. And I understand some of the reality of it. It's just, it's sort of unfortunate. And it's why I never voted for having the school here. We have it, it's here, but now, you know, like for people, it's pretty hard, I think, to maintain morale working for the town in other positions. And it isn't even just about, I mean, tax cap is one thing. Like you said, they voted to increase it by a small amount. But I mean, we thankfully have people that are willing to work at less.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, mostly the town. The school, where it didn't pay average more than
the town budget is a whole other
less than Rochester. We went over that earlier. So we're not the Kingswood district, not all of them, not Wakefield, of course, with their connection there, but Farmington, Milton, Barnstead, and Rochester are all in the same neighborhood in terms of, so
what we pay our teachers currently, or with this? Yeah.
So I'd stand by that. But I mean, and so I don't think, again, we are not a town that can afford a whole lot. And you look down the road, if a lot of people pursue master's degrees, which unfortunately the education system does not necessarily correlate with a better teaching or learning experience. It could.
Right.
But like in my job, there was one time, there was a point where someone said, boy, I would like us to do what we do, what's done in the education system work. One of us gets a master's degree. It then correlates with, under developmental services, correlates with a greater salary. Now, on the mental health side, when master's degrees are required for certain positions, get it, totally. But when you're talking about in the classroom, if a master's degree isn't required, the job is the job. And so that's a little bit of an unfortunate artificial creation within the education establishment that causes ever-increasing salaries, whether the job changes or not, and whether the performance increases with that or not. I know it's nothing I can change, but it makes it so that we end up potentially paying someone in a teaching position what an administrator could be making at some point down the road, potentially, if they stay long enough and if they achieved enough degrees. And that's a challenge, but it's there. It's one of those things, again, of having a school in our town. It's much easier to ignore it when we just sign the contract somewhere else and someone else has to do the management of the employees.
Yeah, but you know, when you sign a contract to somebody else, you're at the mercy of.
You are.
They can, just like, I don't want to compare trash to our children's education, but like the trash contract, you know, when we used to have a contract with Waste Management, and then we had to renew the contract, and it's, you know, you're at the mercy of like, okay, are they gonna skyrocket the bill, and then, you know, you're kind of stuck in paying it or going to the dump yourself. I mean, so there's, I mean, at least this, the townspeople have a little bit more control per se. Yeah. So Kathy, I asked you this a couple of months ago for this year, for how much it costs to educate each kid. It was almost 20, it was like 19 something.
Cost per pupil for Middleton?
Yes.
Okay.
So what are we gonna be at with this new budget?
It all depends on expenditures, so I can't tell you until we go over.
Okay.
That's what it's based on, actual hard numbers, and that's not computed until I do what's called the DOE 25. And that is usually over the summertime when I've closed out this fiscal year. I complete this document and it calculates out based on the ADM and the actual expenditures for the whole year.
Okay, so the number that you gave me was for 23, 24?
Correct.
Okay.
Track 3 is masters, right?
Yeah.
I said.
And then a 4 would be a master's plus 30 or certificate of some kind. Anyone?
Yeah, 3 minutes. You opened at 6:30 for a public hearing?
6:31. Nobody has anything else to say. Tracy, come on, don't let me down. Come on. You gotta fill Roxanne's shoes. Roxanne would have had at least 3 or 4 more.
I have one question, I know that I can answer, so.
Go ahead and say it out loud. Go ahead.
Her question was, will they get their step raises no matter what, like mayor? And I was like, absolutely, it will be like a step raise.
But now that they're in,
It's not the mayor?
No, it's not.
Oh, no, yeah, it's not the mayor.
The warrant article is not approved.
No, that's not her. Her question was, will they receive it every year no matter what? And that is a step raise. Yeah. I mean that.
so wait, where does this will also affect the amount that we have to raise for retirement? What line does that go under?
They have to have a retirement line.
Yeah, so how does that affect the retirement line? How will this affect the retirement line?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Retirement line?
What about it?
How does this affect the retirement line compared to the old contract? Because it's a percentage of their salary, correct?
Correct, it's only the increase, so it's based on the 66,705, which is also computed in, well, it's based on the wages, which the 66 is wages, FICA, retirement, and then there's professional development. That's why the first year of this 3-year proposed contract is 66,000. You guys didn't talk about professional development, that's on that document as well.
So that 66,000 is not just salary, it's,
So 10,000 in year 1 is professional development, and then 11,000, and then 12,000.
They're adding one more thousand per year for PD.
Yeah, they told us that at the last meeting.
okay.
Kevin, can you repeat that? What was the first year?
I can get it, Kathy. For professional development, it's 10,000.
It's
Per
10,000.
teacher?
No, that's for the whole union.
Kathy, wasn't there a line item for professional development?
Did I not even get this one?
Like the professional development that's in there now is just for.
Was that the one that was defeated? That was one that was
I think
defeated.
that for me.
So this is the new one.
Okay.
So So just so you know, the budget did account for the reduction in professional development that was going to be coming out of this bargaining agreement for that group. So what was in the budget is now just principal and other staff development, nothing for the teachers.
Okay.
So there's nothing for the teachers and professional development in the budget currently.
In the operating budget,
Yes, the operating.
And what you have budgeted for the principal is actually over what the new principal is going to be making.
Correct.
correct, it was contractual.
That's over by. what,
And they are
9?
not a part of the union, correct?
Correct.
I think it was like,
Is that like 9? Is that line over by?
I think it was like 9 or 10.
They're coming in at 1, she's coming in at 105, right?
Yeah, I think
they're budgeted for 114.
Oh, was it 114?
So it's 9,000 over.
This seems like kind of a gamble. It's all or nothing, it sounds like. So, I mean, I hate to see the nothing, that's the point. But the town's gonna vote. It doesn't matter what we say tonight. The town's gonna vote on it.
But your vote does carry weight.
To a degree, but
I think the town really does look at the budget committee's votes.
they look at it, but still, I wonder why, is it because it's unionized, why it's being done this way?
3 years.
Yes.
Yeah, it's contracts usually for 3 years.
I mean, but the town also did not approve the GRA position, which the budget committee did not support either. So, you know.
Because we had no
your-
explanation for it.
Whatever you say, your votes do carry weight with
When
the
this-
town.
this-
They do look at that.
A defeated warrant article was, I think, what, 3-3?
Right, so it
which
showed as
is-
budget committee does not recommend,
Right.
and it failed.
Did you want to finish running it?
We can finish. So we close,
7:33?
so close the public hearing and vote, I guess, is that what we're doing?
Yeah. Who's taking notes?
I have no idea.
Close 7:33. Public hearing.
Do we have to read the thing to recommend it?
Uh-huh. You have to read it and then recommend it.
Okay. All right. Article 1, to see if the Middleton School District will vote to approve the cost items included in the collective bargaining agreement reached between the Middleton School Board and the Middleton Education Association, which calls for the following increases in salaries and benefits at the current staffing levels. Fiscal year 2026 estimated increase is $66,705. 2027 estimated increase is $50,576, and 2028 estimated increase is $60,104. And further, to raise and appropriate the sum of $66,705 for the 2025-2026 fiscal year, such sum representing the additional cost attributable to the increase in salaries and benefits required by the new agreement over those that would be paid at current staffing levels. Majority vote. Estimated tax impact on $66,705 is an increase of 18 cents per thousand. I will recommend this article to vote, so we can vote on it.
So you make a motion?
Yeah, I make a motion to recommend it.
I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor, or all, aye?
Aye.
What?
I'm going to vote no.
You're no? Okay. Nay? So what was yours, Danielle? So it's 3 to 5? 3 to 5?
Do I get a vote?
Oh, yeah, sorry, Nicole.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes, yay.
Okay. 4 to 5, 4 to 2. Oh my God, I can't count. It's 4 to 2, passed. Okay. All right. There you go.
Is that it?
That's done.
So we can adjourn, 7:35?
Do we want
Or you need something else?
to?
I don't have anything else.
Before we,
Anybody
Does
else?
anybody?
Any of the public?
Anything?
anybody? Beulah? I had to say it, I had to say it.
Adjourn, yeah, motion to adjourn. Second it, 7:35.
All in favor? Aye. Perfect.